Imagine walking out of an exam knowing the content, but your marks have quietly leaked away through tiny mistakes. In this topic, we'll expose those leaks, misreads, slips, weak habits, so you can plug them and turn the knowledge you already have into real marks. Now picture your marks as a battery. Most students are already charged with enough knowledge, but they quietly lose 5 to 20% through avoidable errors. This course is about sealing those leaks so your effort reliably turns into score. Those exam mistakes fall into three big families. First, reading and understanding mistakes. You misinterpret the mission, answer a different question, or miss a key word like not or only. Second, calculation and copying mistakes. You know the method, but your hand slips with a minus sign, a digit, or a unit. Third, presentation and structure errors. You write the right ideas, but they're messy, incomplete, or hidden, so the examiner can't reward you fully. One of the biggest exam traps is what I call invisible words. When you rush and skim, your brain quietly deletes tiny but powerful words like not, least, except, only, or always. You end up solving the opposite of what was asked. From now on, pause when you see these words and physically underline or circle them every time. Another common trap is missing conditions. The question quietly sets the rules, and one of them gets ignored. That might be units, like mixing dollars with euros, or meters per second with kilometers per hour. It might be limits, like domain or range, or a path B that depends on a result you didn't use correctly. Those conditions are part of the question's instructions, not optional extras. When a question looks tricky, your job is to slow your eyes down, not your whole exam. Use three quick moves. First, box the operator word calculate, compare, explain, prove. That tells you the job. Second, rewrite the task in the margin in your own words, including key conditions like excluding friction. Third, run a fast checklist before you start. Data noted, units, conditions, and exactly what you have to find. Here's a classic silly slip. You know how to solve the equation, but your brain goes on autopilot and drops a minus sign, so everything after that is wrong. These glitches are usually tiny: an arithmetic slip, a sign flip, rounding too early. You don't fix this with harder math. You fix it with slow, 1 second checks at each step, especially when you write a new line of working. A related trap is the copy paste glitch. Your brain copies numbers from the question to your answer, but they change on the way. Maybe 0.05 becomes zero point 0.5, a power of 10 disappears, or the units just vanish. You knew what to do, but the digits or units got scrambled. This quietly destroys marks in math and science questions unless you build the habit of checking what you copied. Messy working is one of the fastest ways to lose marks you actually deserve. Your brain is already under pressure. Don't make it fight your handwriting and layout. Use vertical architecture. Each new step on a new line equals signs lined up in a straight column. Then you can instantly see the flow, spot missing steps, and check your work, and the examiner can easily award follow through marks. There's also the invisible answer problem. You know the solution, but the examiner can't quickly find it. Maybe your handwriting is hard to read, key steps are missing, or your final result is buried inside a long paragraph. If they have to hunt for your answer, you're risking marks you already earned with your thinking. To make markers love your answers, you need to signpost everything. First, clearly separate given, find, and the formula or idea you use. Then show each step, substitute numbers, calculate, and simplify. Add short labels like substitute or therefore so the logic is obvious. For diagrams, include neat labels and units. Finally, box or underline your final answer so it stands out. You're basically serving marks on a silver platter. Now zoom out and think of yourself like a game character with stats. In exams, your skills are things like reading accuracy, calculation control, and presentation. Instead of saying, I'm bad at math, get specific. Maybe your real weakness is negative signs, long paragraphs, or tiny diagram labels. You also have buffs, habits that secretly give you extra marks. Your job is to map both. Then choose one weakness and one strength to focus on in your next practice test. Here's a mini cheat sheet you can use during the exam, especially in the last minutes. First, do a reading check. Glance back at the question and make sure any words like not or except clearly noticed and matched by your answer. Second, do a calculation check. Quickly scan numbers and signs and see that both sides of any equation make sense. Finally, highlight your final answer, box or underline it, and confirm the units are written and correct. Treat every exam mistake as the start of an upgrade loop. First, you notice the mistake instead of ignoring it. Then you ask, what type was this? Reading, calculation, or planning presentation? Next, you add one tiny rule to your checklist that would have caught it. Finally, you deliberately use that rule in your next practice or exam. Repeat this cycle, and your mistakes slowly turn into automatic strengths. Your goal from here is simple: aim for a zero leak exam. Read precisely so you don't lose marks to misreading. Calculate clearly so every step is controlled, not rushed. Present boldly so your knowledge is easy to reward. Keep practicing these routines and walk into your next exam ready to keep every mark you earned.